The first scents of autumn are in the air. Winter is fast approaching, condemning the forest's inhabitants to cold and scarcity. But nature is well designed. The forest is a realm where the tree king nourishes his subjects. In return, its inhabitants take care of their homeland. Some by cleaning it, others by aiding its regeneration, all the way down to the bowels of the earth. One discreet and furtive rodent plays a vital role in this ecosystem: the red squirrel. The hero of our tale is this female, not content to ensure the future of her species. She also contributes to the regeneration of the forest. This talented gardener opens up the doors of her vast dominion, one where survival is an eternal question. Autumn heralds the arrival of the last fruits of summer. It is time for the squirrel to make provisions for winter. Nuts are very high in calories and an efficient remedy against hunger and the cold. Going to collect them is a feat worthy of an acrobat. She has no fear of the 30 meters between her and the ground. To enjoy her booty in peace, she is happy to defy the laws of gravity. Holding the nut with her long fingers and micro thumbs, she successfully tears it apart using her sharp incisors. Her enemies are also hungry. Even though she blends into the scenery, her lustrous color makes her very vulnerable, and predators in the forest are legion. Like crampons, her sharp claws help her to make vertiginous descents. The opportunist, even larcenous spotted woodpecker, benefits from the work of others. Our squirrel is far from idle. Like most of the forest's small creatures, she does not hibernate. Granted, she will slow her rhythm of life, but she will remain active all winter. Competition is fierce, and food is limited. There are many who covet autumn's treasures, and the squirrel has not a moment to lose. No sooner has she finished her mouthful than she is on her way once more. The spotted woodpecker goes on the offensive. The nuts are much easier to see from the sky. especially when you've spotted a squirrel laboriously looking for nuts in a deep carpet of dead leaves. Child's play for an expert pilferer. She will suffer many thefts during this season of hard labor. That is why she has to make sure she buries everything. She is the most expert of all nut hunters. She demonstrates great foresight in accumulating provisions. Our super female can thus be prepared for the rigors of the coming winter by hiding the nuts in her larder of choice, underground. The beauty queen then becomes a gardener, burying her booty in the forest floor. A chance for the acorn to be able to germinate in peace and become a mighty tree one day if the squirrel doesn't find it again. Each year, a squirrel can hide up to 3,000 of these fruits, the equivalent of a forest. This is a stroke of luck for Mother Nature, as squirrels are very forgetful animals. Autumn is settling in, the days are gradually getting shorter, and the search for food more intense. Nuts are being increasingly pillaged. Our squirrel does not have a minute to waste. Her playing field is as huge as her talent for sniffing out nuts, wherever they may be. Stage 1 is to anchor her nut before transporting it, by wedging it between her incisors. It is not as simple as it looks, but it is vital to a high-risk mode of transport. Stage 2 is to find a safe place for her booty. She has to bury enough food to sustain her for the whole winter. The jay also hides its reserves underground. The same alimentary behavior, but not using quite the same methods. Lying in ambush, it spies on our determined hoarder, in the hope of stealing her reserves. These birds really are incorrigible thieves. But on this occasion, our squirrel is not falling for it. She starts putting on a performance, like a true actress. Her senses on high alert, she has noticed the pilferer's antics. Hundreds of thousands of years of evolution have borne fruit and taught her a few tricks. Like the one where you pretend to put a nut in the ground. Try to look innocent. She makes a show of looking busy, arousing the jay's interest. The joke's on you, Mr. J. Deceiving her opponents allows her to go about her business in peace. Jays, like squirrels, are active in regenerating the forest. By transporting fruit in its beak as it flies, it contributes to the dispersal and expansion of hundreds of tree species to the four corners of the realm. Jays and squirrels are more united than one might think. Still on the lookout, the woodpecker remains alert, knowing that the fruit will never be far from its collector. Not a single nut must be allowed to escape. On this occasion, the woodpecker is quicker. But there is no question of our hero giving up. Each nut could be her last, and she will do all she can to retrieve it. Like a genuine emotional barometer, her swinging tail betrays her frustration. The cocksure woodpecker has lost its possession in the middle of the pond. Using her common sense, the female manages to get her nut back. A fine catch, but there are still others to fetch. She cannot turn her back on such a booty. She judges the distance. But this time the bar is very high, too high. She has never learned to swim, but perhaps she knows how to instinctively. Prudence prevails, and she refrains. Unfortunately, there isn't a branch she can use as a vine, or to help her in her endeavor. The nut is a whisker away, but she is reluctant to take the plunge. The squirrel is a very vulnerable species and owes its survival to its capacity for assessing danger. She searches for every alternative possibility so that she does not have to go into the water. Surely there must be a way. This time, she has to admit defeat, a tough break for her. Every nut is worth its weight in gold. While the squirrel and the jay can help trees to grow, other species participate in maintaining the estate in their own way. By eating these shrubs, the roe deer helps the forest to breathe, without being invaded by the young shoots. The stag has a quite different effect on its environment. During the rutting season, it tends to behave like a vandal. This gaping wound left by the stag can be fatal for the tree. The exposed bark is an open door to wood-eating insects, who have no compunction in besieging the unprotected trunk. Luckily, the gardeners do their job well, ensuring the future of the forest. Time is now running out. Our squirrel's food reserves are almost spent. She seems particularly anxious today. Her instinct isn't wrong. She has been spotted by the forest's apex predator, a goshawk. But she has no choice. She is short of food and has to find her reserves. The hawk gets ready to attack. It gets into position. Finding her hiding places occupies all her attention. All her senses are devoted to her quest, to the detriment of her caution. She eventually senses the danger, but too late. The goshawk's sharp eyesight, power, and speed leave its prey almost no chance. Only her athletic talents can save the squirrel from the raptor's vicious claws. Predatory instinct versus survival instinct. Our hero has narrowly escaped death. After such a frantic chase, a quick wash is in order. With autumn comes the time to prepare her winter wardrobe. The hair on her tail becomes thicker, and a gray stole starts to adorn her head and back. She is very clean and always takes good care of herself to maintain her future winter coat. Autumn is also mushroom season, and the squirrel would be foolish to turn down such a treat. Rich in proteins and fiber, they are a good food supplement, but also beneficial for her digestion. Useful for the squirrel, but also a mode of transport for the mushroom. Our rodent does not merely plant fruit, she also connects trees together. By disseminating spores in her droppings, she propagates mushrooms beneath the forest floor. The spores then germinate, creating roots that, like cables, join the tree's roots and so provide essential nutrients. Meanwhile, the acorn, hidden by our hero, begins its life cycle. Beneath the surface, it also benefits from the nutrients and minerals provided by the mushroom's root networks. A food supplement which will enable it to become a magnificent tree. The forest is a vast, subtly organized world where habitat and inhabitants live in perfect harmony. When there are too many deer, they can present a threat to the forest. This hind also needs to gather reserves for winter. But these oak leaves are not edible. They are unsuitable for consumption because they contain tannin, a bitter and indigestible substance for leaf eaters. Could a plant be capable of trickery? How does a tree know it is under threat? Nature knows how to protect itself in case of danger. When a tree such as this oak suffers any damage, it emits a chemical call. The wind spreads the alarm, allowing other oaks to react. They then create a repellent, life-saving tannin. It is a fact that plant species communicate with each other. Autumn is ending, and the time of plenty is over. Our squirrel is wearing its warm clothing. It has little brushes at the tips of its ears that act like bonnets. The solar cycle becomes shorter, temperatures drop, and long walks in the forest are a thing of the past. For most animals, it is high time to prepare shelter for the winter. Its favorite prey, the snail, has hidden away, so the hedgehog does the same. It needs to find a safe place where it can sleep undisturbed, protected from the wind, floods, but especially predators. It gathers dry grass along with dead leaves that provide excellent insulation to maintain a comfortable temperature inside its den. Our female is no longer trying to build her reserves. Acorns and nuts have gone. She is now in search of something else. It is time to get on with some other tasks. Moss, a down quilt, everything is 100% organic. By recycling, the squirrel cleans the forest. She has a selection of nests, depending on the seasons, to trick her predators. Nothing is left to chance. She has to take care to draft-proof her nest to avoid spreading her scent and risking detection by her foes. She has mastered the unique technique of collecting balls of the material she collects under her chin to make it easier to carry them. Time is short. It is not the moment to be wandering outside. Fortunately for the careless creature, an unbegrudging gardener oversees the surroundings. The jay is the forest's sentinel. Its call alerts the inhabitants to the slightest incursion. If the forest appears deserted, it's because everyone has been alerted to our presence and is hidden. The forest and its creatures are allies and face exterior threats as well as the rigors of the seasons. The squirrel's reserves have been buried. The nest is ready. The hedgehog gets ready to go to sleep for 4 months. And the snail has sealed its shell. Winter can arrive. The forest is ready. The cold has taken an icy grip. The forest is all but deserted. The trees enter a dormant state to conserve energy. Bereft of their leaves, they no longer provide camouflage for our squirrel. In this no man's land where predation and survival are the watchwords, she must only venture to the forest floor when she absolutely has to. As they do every year, the trees slow their activity. Our wounded oak has sealed its pores, and its sap only circulates within the trunk. As they fall to the floor throughout autumn, the leaves accumulate and gradually form humus, which over the years creates forest soil that can nourish everything that lives there. It also acts as a protective coat for the subsoil. So our acorn is cocooned until it is ready to germinate. Life is harsher for our squirrel. The boars pick up everything hidden by the squirrel, dangerously diminishing her reserves. They also ensure the cleaning of the forest. They are omnivorous, and nothing is safe. Carrion, rotten fruit, they devour everything they come across. But as they turn the soil with their snouts, they force our forgotten acorn further underground. They're quite good at gardening themselves. Meanwhile, our squirrel's energy is almost spent. Despite the danger all around her, she has to feed herself. In spite of her gray camouflage, she remains vulnerable. But right now, all that matters is checking her larder. The fat and protein-rich food she has hidden is highly sought after. Our unfortunate squirrel can no longer find her reserves, which have been purloined by a myriad of other species, such as these tits. Our squirrel anxiously searches for her nuts. This is the moment the marten decides to take to the stage. It is a mysterious and very discreet predator. Little is known about it because it haunts the forest by night. In winter, it does not wait for darkness. The ingenious squirrel selects its tree carefully. She settles on the smoothest trunk she can find, one that only she can climb. The luckless marten gives up. Our female has had a lucky escape, but her belly is still empty. Better to die of hunger than between the teeth of her sworn enemy. The weeks go by, and the problem of subsistence becomes worse. But once again, nature has solutions. In winter, the stags lose their seductive apparel, their antlers. Rich in keratin and calcium, they ensure the survival of a long food chain, beginning with our field mice. In a few weeks, nothing will remain of these majestic antlers. Winter arrives with its weapons, wind, rain, and snow. Unearthing food from the frozen ground requires an energy which is starting to wane. Periods of sleep are becoming ever longer. Although it is impossible to find the seeds in the frozen soil, our squirrel has a solution. She has not forgotten. The pond is a larder for many species, and perhaps an opportunity for our squirrel. There are still a few nuts, which can only be found on the edge of the forest. Will her hunger drive her to make the great leap? In winter, everything is a matter of survival, defending oneself against famished predators, as well as collecting a simple nut, without knowing if one can swim. The nuts are still out of reach, but hunger sharpens her cunning. She pushes the nut towards the opposite branch so that she can get hold of it. But the slippery nut escapes her clutches. So close to her goal, her whole body quivers with frustration. A few flexing and stretching exercises. Having been immobile for days, physical exertion has become laborious. But our acrobat quickly recovers. This time, her agility has been enough. But how far will she be able to go? Not many squirrels survive the winter. Our female is out of strength. This nut could sustain her until the end of the season. Spring finally arrives. The first rays awaken nature from its long slumber. The trees offer the birds and insects their first buds. The ants, barely awake, gorge themselves on this providential antler. All this fresh activity, stimulated by the rays of the sun, warms our hedgehog, who is weak after months of fasting. This carpet of flowers is like heaven on earth. The inhabitants of the forest come together, and they are all very hungry. Our squirrel has survived winter, but needs to rebuild her strength. The remains of the antlers will provide her with calcium. There is no concept of waste. Everything is constantly recycled. The increase in temperature has brought our snail out of hibernation. Beneath the ground, the forgotten acorn finally pierces its shell. Having eluded the jay and the boars, it is finally time to get some air. Emerging from the earth requires a vast amount of energy. Our young shoot will learn to absorb carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. The oak is not alone in deploying its foliage. All the trees and shrubs join the party. After many months of silence, activity resumes. Fishing season is open, as is hunting season. But it is mainly the season of love and births. Our squirrel takes care of her new garb. And she does not go unnoticed. The chase is the squirrel's game of seduction. It is a way for the female to evaluate the perseverance and athleticism of the males. But even in these peaceful moments, death can strike in an instant. The marten's kits learn the rudiments of hunting from their mother, which is unfortunate for our male. Death and rebirth become the beating heart of the forest. Underground, the forgotten seeds start to germinate as it gets warmer. seasons brings a change of nest. But this one has to be particularly cozy. So she makes balls of moss. Her instinct tells her to build a thick, warm nest. But before she can rest, there is one last challenge she must overcome: fetching the elusive nut from the middle of the pond. It is absolutely vital that she regain her strength after so many months of abstinence. She makes one last attempt. Learning from past experience, she is more determined than ever. The end justifies the means. She finally jumps into the water and goes for broke. Good news! It turns out she can swim. She's even a very good swimmer, using her bushy tail as a rudder. Summer brings the return of a benevolent and bountiful nature. Harmony reigns thanks to the network of mutual help between the animals of the realm. For our female, it is finally time to enjoy life. This accomplished athlete has successfully overcome the cold season with all its dangers. She has also, unwittingly, participated in the regeneration of the forest and to the survival of her species.